Hi guys, welcome back to my temple. Alright, so I think today I'm just going to do the neophyte ritual so that anybody that wants to can literally start this today. It'll probably take maybe 30 minutes. And you don't even need a whole room. I want to address the video about the temple. You don't need a temple. You don't need a whole room. Now that is the goal. Now I want you to know this is very meager. Mine is nothing spectacular. Mine is nothing extravagant. I am in the infant stages of my temple. Whatever you have is sufficient. You don't need technically anything. All of this is merely symbolic correspondences to help you get into the mindset of the magician. And at the beginning, it's very, very, very helpful, almost necessary for some people. But the room itself isn't necessary. You could just literally use your bedroom and just devote like a little section of it. Or even use your kitchen, stand in the middle of it. As long as you can spread your arms out and spin in a circle without hitting anything, you're pretty much good. Because no matter where you stand, the four sacred directions are going to be there. And so anyways, I'm going to go ahead and do my neophyte ritual. It's pretty small. It's pretty easy to consume. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do the fourfold breath. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit in this chair, right? And for 5 minutes, I'm going to breathe in through my nose and then breathe out through my nose. But I'm going to do it at a count of 4. And then I'm going to hold it for a count of 4. And then I'm going to breathe out at a count of 4. And then I'm going to hold that for a count of 4. So I'm going to essentially be going like that, in that pattern. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start by lighting my candles, drawing the quarters of the directions, then getting in the center of my sacred circle, and beginning by getting into a trance-like state by doing the fourfold breath. And as you're doing that, you want to envision light, brilliant white light particles entering your body, entering your pores, entering the millions and billions of pores that make up your body. And then as you're breathing in, you want that light energy to absorb all the way through you and permeate your essence. And then as you breathe out, see a dark black smoke kind of exit your body. And don't think too much about it. Just kind of visualize it and see if you can't feel it. And if you really stop and just silence your mind and really, put your awareness from your scattered flashlight into a focused laser, you might be surprised what kind of subtle things you pick up on your body. So we're going to start with the fourfold breath to get us in the proper meditation state, and then we'll go from there. I'm going to try and get the best angle. Something like that, maybe. Pretty good. All right. We start in the east, the land of air. We then travel to the south, the land of fire. We then travel to the west, the land of water. We then go to the north, the land of earth. And then we go back to the east and complete the circle. And now we have our sacred circle started. So now we're going to sit in between all of it.
And we're going to do the fourfold breath.
Start timer for 5 minutes. Now you want to be focusing all throughout your body. Just feel as much as you can. Center your mind. Okay. So now you should have a pretty good, you should be feeling really calm, you should be feeling relaxed. You know, if you had stress, it should be starting to go away. If you were all inked up, you know, anxiety or wound up, you know, from the work, whatever, you're probably starting to mellow down and relax. So yeah, so now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the Kabbalistic cross. And what we're essentially doing is we're identifying that parts of our body, our energy center, are corresponding to different parts of bigger energies. And those have parts of God, the source, and each part of that has a God name. So God doesn't just have one name, God has multiple names, and each name isn't spoken, it's vibrated. So you basically, it's not quite singing, and it's not quite like, you basically are just going to talk almost the same volume, but you're just kind of draw it out and vibrate like you just want to vibrate. And then as you're focusing on that area and you say that God name, you want that area to feel like it's literally vibrating and you can feel it. And you really want to feel it, like feel the top of your head pulsating if you can. So I'll start with the Kabbalistic cross, and I'm basically going to draw the light from above into my aura, create a cross of light, which also activates all 3 pillars of the tree of life. And then after that, I will explain the next step, which will be invoking the 4 archangels of the directions. And I do want to point out that the first thing you have to do, as I mentioned in the last video, but also again, is you need to expand your energy, almost like you're Goku from Dragon Ball. As silly as that sounds, but you want to basically spread it out as much as you can, and try and envision that you're getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and you're as big as the whole universe, but the universe is draped around you like a cloak, and you're basically wearing the universe. Basically, you're so big, you're wearing the universe, but there's this giant ball of light right above your head. Ito Malkut Vagavura Vagadula Leolam Amin. So now you want to do the lesser vanishing ritual of the pentagram. And essentially what you're doing is you're thinking of a pentagram shape with 5 points. And each point is an element, and then the top point, the top of the star, is spirit, it's ether, it's the source. And so you have air, fire, earth, water, and spirit. And you've got where your thigh is, you've got where your other thigh is, you've got where your shoulder is, you got your other shoulder, and then you got where your head is, or the forehead area. And if you trace that location out, you create the shape of a 5-pointed star called a pentagram. And depending on where you start, and depending on what direction you go, either away from or towards. So if you're going away from the element, you're invoking that energy. And if you start at that element and go away from it, you're banishing it. And as I said earlier, we aren't invoking anything in the neophyte grade. We are not at that level. None of that even matters. What we are doing is learning how to banish. Banish, 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 banish. We are cleaning up our mess. We're cleaning up. We're learning how to clean. We're learning how to clean so that when we do start to make messes, we don't leave behind stuff we don't want to get rid of. So right now, all you're learning how to do is you're going to banish the earth element, which, like I said, is the densest of all the elements. And so it banishes fire, water, and wind as you're banishing earth. And we do that by starting at earth, and we go away from it, right? And we create a pentagram, and then we say the God name in the east, Yahi as we punch our way through it, this blue light turns into blue fire, like the stove gas light. And we take the center point and make a basically starlight that goes to the next direction. And we start where your thigh is, where earth is, and you go up to your head to spirit, down to your right thigh, where water is, to your left shoulder, air, to your right shoulder, fire, and back down to your left thigh, creating the pentagram in blue light. And then you say the God name for the south. Adonai. And then you draw this towards the west, where you do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You really want to see it. And then you say the God name. Then you bring it to the north. Start at earth, go to spirit, go to water, go to air, go to fire, back to earth, and plunge it through. Agala. And don't worry about like what the God names are. This is all can be found either online or in a number of books. But just know that you're vibrating the Hebrew God names associated with what you're trying to invoke at that particular moment. So now you've officially got a starlight circle attached to a blue flaming pentagram on each side. And so you've got 4 fixated points with a circle surrounding it all. And if you have a really good imagination, you can really like see this and feel it, like feel the excitement. This is amazing. I mean, I've got a star, a fire right here, right here, right here, right here. And then there's starlight that's like encompassing it all. Like, this is awesome. This is absolutely amazing. And if you want to take it a step further, like look off into the east and see that it is like a hilly area with clouds in the sky, and you can just feel the wind blowing at you. Just kind of feel it, right? And then like look over to your south and see like it's a huge desert. It's a super big desert. It's super dry and hot, and you can just feel the dry heat coming from the south. Like, really envision it. And then turn around and see the west, see the giant ocean stretching as far as the eye can see, the glistening beach sand, and just see feel the ocean and the water lapping in, and just feel the moisture. And then go to the north and see the lush wheat field with the black soil. See the cows grazing off in the field in a distance. See the forest further even back, and way off in the distance, even farther back, see the mountain range. See all of Earth and its glory, and see that you have created 4 sacred universes all around you. And now what you're going to do is you're going to invoke the guardian angel, the archangel of each universe. And we're going to start by invoking the east, which is Raphael. And then we invoke behind us in the west, which is Gabriel. And then we invoke to the right, which is the south, and that's Michael. And then we go to the north of the earth, which is Uriel, or Ariel. Uriel. It doesn't really matter. The pronunciation is kind of subjective. What matters is that you invoke the energy and know what you're attempting to do. So what you want to do for the east, you want to look off into that sky, and you see this giant figure, and he's got fair skin with blonde hair, and he's wearing this giant yellow robe, but it's got flashes of violet coming off of it. And in his right hand is the caduceus, and that's the symbol that the medical uses. It's a staff with a snake coiling, and then it's got wings on the top. And what you want to do is you want to say, before me, Raphael. And then you think, go to behind yourself, and you look at the beach, and you see this towering figure standing in the ocean. And he is fair-skinned with brown hair, and he's got this blue robes on and flashes of orange. You see that. And in his left hand is a silver chalice. And you say, Behind me, Gabriel. And then you look to your right and you see this desert. It's a dry, hot desert. And then you see this figure. He's massive, this giant figure off in the distance. And he's got dark skin and black hair. And he's wearing these bright red robes with flashes of green. And there's fire coming out of his feet. And at the top, he's holding in his hand an upright iron sword. That's fire coming out of it. He's your typical, he's the fire archangel that you hear about in the Garden of Eden in the Bible. That's basically him. That's Michael, that's Michael. At my right side, Michael. And then you look to your left, in the wheat field off in the distance in the mountain range, you see this towering figure. And he's got fair skin, black hair, and dark, intense eyes. And he's wearing black robes with flashes of green. And in his left hand are sheaves of wheat. And that's Uriel. And so you say, on my left side, Uriel. Now you focus on your thighs and your neck. Right here, right here, and right here. And you create a triangle of energy. And this is fire. I'm not going to get too into it, but it's essentially Venus, Mercury, and Saturn. And then you've got your shoulders and your genitals. And that's another triangle, but it's upside down. And that's water. And that's Jupiter, Mars, and the moon. And so when you've got Jupiter, Mars, and the moon, and then you've got Venus, Mercury, and Saturn, you get two triangles, one inverted and one normal, which creates a six-pointed star. And at the center is your heart, is your blood. And that's the mixture of blood and water and fire. And so you go, before me flame the pentagrams, and within shineth the six-rayed star. Now you should have 4 archangels protecting you. So any outside negative, low frequency, lesser entity is pretty much helpless. So now you can move on to the next phase. And for this particular one, the neophyte grade is pretty minor. All you're doing is the middle pillar exercise. That's it. That's all you're doing. So what you do is you sit in, you face the west, and you sit in the east, right? And you do this as symbolism because the east is where the sun comes from. So what you're doing is you're going to say the God name for the top of your head, which is Kether, 4 times. Ye. And then you draw that light down to your throat, which symbolizes Saturn. And that's Yahovah Elohim, right? And then you draw that down even further. And that goes to your chest, your heart. And that is the sun. That is Tiphareth in the tree of life. And that is Iao. And that is the symbolism of Isis, Apophis, and Apollo, which are the 3 gods in the stories that are the symbolism of the analysis of the keyword, which is a ritual for adepts, which you will use in the Zealotor grade if you're practicing my curriculum that I'm going through. And with that being said, you do the middle pillar. So you go to the head, which is Eheyeh. Then you go to the throat, which is Yahovah Elohim. Then you go to your heart, which is Iao. Then you draw that light down to your genitals, and that's Shaddai El Kai, and that's the moon. And then finally you draw that light down to where your feet are, and you feel a circle, a sphere of half above the ground and half below the ground, because it symbolizes you are part of yourself and earth, one and the same. And that is Adonai Haaretz. Adonai Haaretz. So you do all these 4 times. You're drawing a pillar of light down you, and then When you're done with that, you should feel the energy from your feet, feel the energy from your head. It's two different points. You can definitely feel them. And as you breathe in, you feel the energy go in an arc from your feet up to your head. And as you breathe out, from your head down to your feet. You do it again, feet to your head to your feet on your side, and you do that 4 times. And then you go to the back and you start your feet, and you go in an arc to your head, and then you go from your head down to your feet and your front. And you do that 4 times. So to your side, and then back to front, and you're circulating that energy. When you do that, when you're done with that, you start at your feet and you feel the energy of your sphere, and you draw it up to your genitals. Then you draw that up to your heart. Then you draw that up to your throat. And then feel it go up to your head right here and hold it there. Try to condense it. And then when you wait about a couple seconds and let it explode. And then as it explodes, imagine this light is just raining down on you like rain. Just raining down on you. And it's filling at your feet like a puddle. And your feet are just absorbing it hungrily like roots. And as you do that, you start to feel even more energy in your feet, and it becomes more purified, and it becomes more noticeable. And so you do it again. You draw it up to your genitals, you draw it up to your heart, you draw it up to your throat, you go to the top of your head, and you hold it. You try to hold it as long as you can, a couple seconds, and you explode it outwards again, let it rain down, build up like a puddle, and absorb it. Again, it's even stronger this time. You do it a 3rd time, stronger this time. You do it a final time, you hold it in, and then at the end, you fill your chest. And you feel this tiny energy burst out slowly, like a bubble. And it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And it envelops your whole room, and realize you're eventually just floating in it. It's this giant bubble. And all of a sudden, this bubble just fills with this bright, blinding light. And it just absorbs you and takes over you, and you have no control. And just bask in that white light for a while. And that is the middle pillar. So that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, so that's the middle pillar, and basically that's pretty much it. The only thing you have left to do is the neophyte meditation, which I explained in one of my videos. I think it was the neophyte. I think it was the neophyte video about the neophyte meditation. Interesting. So basically, you're supposed to stare at a dot for 5 minutes and just meditate on that dot. And I don't have a dot right now because I'm not in the neophyte grade, but I'm just going to stare at my candle flame, which is essentially, you're just trying to stare at a center, a fixed point for an extended amount of time without your mind wandering. And you just want to basically learn to focus your attention for a large amount of time. The reason that TikTok exists and that Vine was popular is because most people have such a short attention span, you can't go much more than 30 seconds or else they'll lose interest. And that's why on Facebook you have these reels where they're really short. It's like 10, 15, 20 seconds, and then it's another one, another one, another one, another one, another one, another one. And you could find yourself literally just watching them for hours. You know, little micro pieces, little chips of little potato chips of videos, you know, blah, 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 blah. And the point of this is you're trying to train yourself to extend your focus so that you can eventually literally sit here for 30 minutes, an hour, and not get bored, you know, because you're so focused on what you're doing. And as you focus, you're bringing awareness, and as you bring awareness, it's almost like a mouse pointer. You know, if you take your mouse pointer and you just fixate on one point, all that energy will go to that area, and the more you focus on it, the more you build up on it, and the more you get it. Most people have a flashlight. It's like a flashlight kind of focus. It's just scattered everywhere. You know, what's for dinner? What's going on with my son? Why is my girlfriend mad at me? You know, why does my life suck? Something, groceries, blah 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 blah, just constantly. And you want to get to a point where you just have it focused, a single point. And so the whole point of this meditation is to focus on that dot and just see if answers come to you. Don't expect anything. Just focus on the dot, clear your mind, and relax. You know, just breathe, relax. So we're going to do it for 5 minutes, and that should end our neophyte ritual. Set timer for 5 minutes. And that's it, guys. That's literally it. I mean, it gets more in depth when you get further along. But for right now, that's it, guys. You did it. That is the neophyte meditation. It literally takes like 30 minutes. It helps you so much. Like, you guys don't even realize. Like, when I first started doing this, I couldn't sleep without the TV on. Like, I just couldn't do it. My thoughts just kept me awake. I just had like so much crap in my head, and it was stupid. It was like nothing. It was just randomness. And when I had the TV on, it just allowed me to like choose a focus point, and I could kind of like just drift off and get, kind of get zoned out and whatever. And doing this neophyte meditation ritual, it just changes you. It basically, your brain is a house, and right now your house is so dirty and cluttered, and you don't even realize it. And it's hindering you in so many ways and changing so many things about you for the worse. And it's insane, because as much effort and money that people put into trying to fix themselves with drugs or medicine or this project or this thing, if you would just take some 30 minutes to meditate a little bit. I know it sounds stupid, and at first it's a slow process, but man, once you get that ball rolling and it starts moving with some momentum, you start to really see it. And when you start to see it, it just reinforces your belief, and then you get more happy things, and then you get more belief, and then it's just a lovely cycle. And right now, life is pretty damn good. And I'm excited to see where the next years go, because like I said, I'm just in the second grade of the outer grades. I mean, I don't count, I guess you consider neophyte, but I'm a theoricus, you know what I mean? So there's so many more grades, and the transformation that I've done in these 2 years it's just amazing. And so I really hope you guys get something out of this. And what have you got to lose? You don't need a temple. It's nice to have one, but do it in your bedroom. Do it outside in a park. Tell people you're praying. Like, just do it. Like, do this for 30 minutes a day. Do this for a year. And when you're ready, we'll move on to the next one, and that's Zelator. Have a good day.